neighbor Mildred. She come over early, say time to have the fete. Please don't say I'm greedy, but I ain't eat food yet. My husband gone by his mother and left me in a jam. Look me belly in my hand, neighbor give me piece of ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When I taste good so fast. Bring out the ham. Is then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Christmas time is trouble if you try to hide the meat. So rest it on the table, let the neighbor get to eat. We fetting all day and it's para all night. A little piece of ham bound to make the stomach right. My husband gone by his mother and left me in a jam. Look me belly in my hand, give me piece of ham. Neighbor, oh yo yo, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. All I want to do is eat. Bring out the ham. I don't want no other meat. Bring out the ham. When I taste good so fast. Bring out the ham. It's then I just feel it's Christmas. Bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, oi oi oi, bring out the ham. Neighbor, ay 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 ay, bring out the ham. Neighbor, come quick, come. Christmas, Christmas.
I don't tell lies. 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 I don't tell lies.
Hi, my name is Gary Aboud. I am the Corporate Secretary of Fishermen and Friends of the Sea, Trinidad and Tobago. We went under the Freedom of Information to the Ministry of Energy and we got the exact data. For 4 years, Petrotrin did not rely on government subventions. So 2016, 17, 18, Petrotrin were not given 1 penny from central government. But yet the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet kept speaking about Petrotrin like if they were going to sing the national economy, saying that if they were kept going, they would lose $2 billion a year.
The government is not closing down Petrotrin. And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
Dr. Rowley said that the single payment of a US $850 million bond, which matures in August 2019, plus the $700 million that the company is due to repay shortly after, was the basis on which he knew decisive action on Petrotrin's future could no longer be put off.
In short, the Petrotrin fix was always seen to be bad for politics and even one's political survival. But we have arrived at a place now where its ongoing failure threatens the national survival. The refining assets of Petrotrin can now be put in a separate company for opportunity attention. The OWTU will be given the first option to own and operate it if they wish.
So when people talk about Petrotrin bringing in US dollars, that is a completely false narrative. It was not a net earner of foreign exchange. It was draining the country's reserves.
But then if that were true and Dr. Rowley's statements were genuine, then why is there no evidence of any subvention to keep the company afloat in 2016, 17, and 18? And when they were paid in 2019, $1.2 billion from the Ministry of Finance, that was specifically to pay severance. So, are we being run by a government with integrity? Is the public interest being served by officers duly elected who are concerned about the welfare of the least privileged, or are they ambitiously seeking to become the most privileged? These are serious questions, and for those of you who listen to our presentation, I beg you to answer in your heart and in your conscience. When you go to the hospital and see sick people waiting 10 hours, how do you feel? When you go to take a bus and the bus doesn't come, how do you feel? When you drive on the road and you break your axle because the road isn't repaired, when you see WASA paying $1.5 million a day for salt water, desalinated water, and you see so much leaks, how do you feel? When you see a Prime Minister passing legislation that himself and the President should be paid their full salary for the duration of their lives as pension, but everybody else gets less, how do you feel? When you are lied to and have to pay triple for the price of oil and gas, when we had a company that could have produced and exported and kept our economy on a robust and vibrant status, how do you feel? When you see a private company that is secret, that no one knows who the owners are, making $400 and $500 million a year, selling oil and gas to ships, profits that should have been going to the national treasury, how do you feel? When the application for that company was made 6 months before Petrotrin closed, when the applicants, Dr. Rowley's close friend, would not have known or should not have known of the planned closure of Petrotrin. When you are lied to and told that Petrotrin is sinking the economy, when for 3 consecutive years not a penny was paid in subventions, how do you feel? Well, for me, I feel like everybody's going to want to give me licks because they're going to say I should keep quiet, don't interfere with the bigwigs, they will kill me, they will shoot me. But I feel sad when I see children fighting that don't have proper education, when I see people suffering, pensioners, when I see the Blind Welfare Association underfunded, PAVI, I don't feel good, I don't feel proud, I don't feel patriotic. And I call on you to say something, speak about this video, share this video. Thank you for listening.
When the statement is made that the refinery and the assets that surround it at Point-a-Pierre belongs to the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago, that statement is true. It belongs to all of the people, all of the taxpayers. Indeed, it belongs to our children and those who will make up the future of this country, because that asset belongs to Trinidad and Tobago. But I also want to say that those who are in government has a responsibility to not just conveniently say that the refinery is the asset of Trinidad and Tobago and the people and the taxpayers, but the diplomatic center is also the asset of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Requested in this current process, we have provided that. The process was closed on May 10th. Let me say that again. The process that is currently engaged to select a purchaser for those assets has been closed on May 10th. May 10th, 2024. That's last May. Ups come this last week, Indian businessman in the diplomatic center, in the face of procurement legislation, in the face of the procedure and the process that is being engaged, up comes Indian businessman in a display of supreme bias discussing the same asset with the Prime Minister. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, that could never, ever be correct or right. We are involved in a process. Other contenders are involved in this process. Process closed May 10th. No extension, but here now you have Prime Minister saying, when they would have said that at the end of June, they would announce who are the successful one, who are the successful bidder in the process. You have arbitrarily extending the process to the end of August as an announcement, coming from this man who speaks about the taxpayers and the extreme bias, because nobody else was invited to the diplomatic center to talk about the process and to talk about the refinery. This person, well, let us just examine this person that has been entertained in our diplomatic center. Trinidad and Tobago, the people, the man in the street, all of us, the taxpayers. Let us examine who the Prime Minister entertained in the diplomatic center. And I want to ask the question this morning. According to the Forbes, it says Naveed Jindal in trouble again. Forbes talk about Naveed Jindal accused of graft. Yeah. And then we have not just Forbes, we have Business Today India, Business Standard India, all of these are Indian newspapers. Hindustan Times, yeah, and Live Mint website. I think I may need a clothesline to hang up all of these articles and headlines for you here this morning. And it talks about this person, Naveed Jindal, and four others cheating, cheating and criminal conspiracy. Serious thing here, criminal conspiracy, bribery, and it talks about the court orders framing of additional charges against Naveed Jindal. Okay? So, except we may have missed something, that person who comes from another time zone across the world comes to our shores, gets this special treatment, because we were not there. I am not aware that the other contenders were there. I didn't see any picture to that effect. Special treatment from the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago for some assets that are currently being engaged in a process, an official process, which process for submission of bids was closed. So we want to ask.
Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Saturday edition of the corridor transformation. I thought it was important, of course, to raise that from the perspective that, of course, to confirm, to certify, to ratify, to generate without what I consider to be without doubt of the level and the extent and the degree of the lies that would have been told to us as a people by a man who is supposed to be, for all intents and purposes, legit, meaning that legally and practically the head of government in Trinidad and Tobago. And one expects that the utterances from such an individual, quite apart from being policy in itself, yes, when the Prime Minister speaks, and when a minister speaks to a lesser extent, it evokes, it promotes, it resonates, or it suggests policy position. That is so significant. But when you have a prime minister that has to say that he doesn't lie, you have to watch that fella. Because that, as we have seen, is an exercise in, of course, a poor exhibition of reverse psychology. Rowley is a consummate liar. He is, of course, what some may describe in psychological terms, in clinical terms, suffering from mythomania. He is a spontaneous liar. But more than that, if we had to dig deeper and psychoanalyze, then we are talking about manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis. A state where people lose all sense of what? Of reality. And this is what is clear, but it is not only Rowley. I don't know if it is endemic of the PNM and its leadership and the ministerial team that he has assembled, but clearly every one of them have demonstrated for one reason or another, and depending on their portfolio, they have misled the population. Whether you want to call it innuendo to sort of soften the landing, or you want to call it blatant and unadulterated misrepresentation and therefore lies, you will be correct. It doesn't matter whether you use, of course, a term that will soften it. Some people may say terminological inexactitude. And therefore, of course, attempting to put a soft landing. There are others may say you're a blatant and unadulterated, indurate liar. Whichever it is, the demonstration of that level of deception and that level of inadequacy to be in a public office of the level of prime minister and ministers, one has to be concerned as a citizen. One has to be concerned. So whether, of course, they are distant from the truth, or they are strangers to the reality of Trinidad and Tobago that they created, I just cannot comprehend. It is almost enigmatic. It is almost a mystery that if you know that you have done wrong, one of the ways of treating with that issue is to tell the people, well, listen, I was wrong. And these are the factors that caused me to be wrong. But they continue, of course, to talk as though they are right when your experience and only when, of course, the opposition takes the matter up, and, of course, we in the population becomes, of course, extremely concerned, then they come and, of course, they give some semblance, not of remorse, but changing their position on the matter in itself, requiring, of course, an apology that never comes. What am I talking about in addition, of course, to the Petrotrin or refinery sale attempt, and, of course, the Jindal matter, and, of course, the matter that was, of course, expressed by Roger, the head of OWTU, and therefore the entity called Patriotic. You see, you have to look at not just the genesis, but also all of the issues major that we have been led down a gum tree, so to speak, or as my good friend would like to say, a pick-a-patch. It's as if, of course, from the top, you're coming down a Grugubef tree. You know what is that, right? Those trees, the branches are prickles, the trunk of the tree are prickles, and boy, if you are let down from the top to get down to that tree, well, you would have been pricked all over. Yes, prick is a proper English word. Prick mean, of course, to insert something pointed or sharp enough so as to penetrate your skin. So you are pricked all over. Yes, indeed. And that is what they have done us. So whether it be, of course, the Petrotrin matter, whether it be, of course, the attempt by the government to hoodwink us with respect to the sea bridge between Trinidad and Tobago, whether it be, of course, sandals, or whether it be the Vincent Nelson matter, whether it be the Brent Thomas matter, whether it be the Gary Griffith matter under the Police Service Commission, or whether it be, of course, from even before that, telling us that somehow there is this plot by the then government led by Kamala Prasad Bisesa then. And of course, the infamous, I should say, infamous the so-called what? The so-called emails. And then he has, and this government in general has the proclivity, the tendency to generate a storm in a teacup when he talked about, of course, Rishmi, and of course Section 24, all of which was storms in a teacup, irrelevant, ocious. Why? Because they did not put Trinidad and Tobago in jeopardy. None of them. But every single one of Dr. Rowley's lies and deception and innuendos and of course inappropriate behavior, conduct, and utterances have put Trinidad and Tobago in jeopardy. You and I, the citizens and the taxpayers of this country. And they have the audacity, the temerity, the gall, the effrontery, and the boldfaces to still talk about they are protecting the public purse. Just imagine that. So not only we, the population, have been or have reached the zenith of our tolerance by this, of course, what I consider miscreant and, of course, tomfoolery of a group of individuals who claim to be ministers and prime minister and have failed miserably. We have even our highest court in the land now recognizing them for being, of course, so incompetent that they, out of maybe diplomacy, let me put it that way, they won't tell them that, but their conduct, their decision demonstrates that. I am talking about, of course, the recent decision by the Privy Council as far as giving it to Junior Sammy over $80 million. Yeah. I'm talking about, of course, the local courts and the Privy Council. Yes, I think no. He has appealed that, but the appeal court in Trinidad giving Jawala Rambaran $7 million for the inappropriate and wrongful dismissal of him by this government. Yeah. I am talking about, of course, the appeal court telling the government of Trinidad and Tobago that they have acted unconstitutionally and tried to usurp the right of the people of Trinidad and Tobago to determine who should represent them and when they should do it, having that being established at the local government level. Yes, it's happened. And I think the most recent of them all, quite apart, of course, from Junior Sammy, we have another situation that recently was decided by the Privy Council. They didn't even want to hear Imsbert representative at the Privy Council. They didn't want to hear. They truncated. They had to present their case in court, halfway, incomplete. And the Privy Council went, deliberate, suspend the hearing, deliberate, and came back and said, listen, we are not going to give you a written decision here, but we feel compelled to give you an oral decision now so that the people of Trinidad and Tobago can rest assured and have some, of course, respect for or try to save, of course, the integrity of the judicial process. So what the Privy Council did in the very recent decision, and yes, you know, it has to do with the Auditor General. The Auditor General, people. The Privy Council tell Imsbert and the government, listen, they don't want to hear all your... They began their submission, the Privy Council told them that say, well, listen, we're going and deliberate when we come back. When they came back, they said, listen, we will not accept Imsbert's appeal that the Auditor General had no right to question how he came about by putting an investigative team together to investigate the conduct, among other things, of the Auditor General. Yes, the Privy Council said so. But more than that, and that is a serious development in that particular decision, I suspect they would have gotten enough evidence and have institutional memory, but of course in legal terms it is called, of course, precedent. And I'm sure the precedent that they looked at was when, of course, they had to tell Rowley and they that you can't go to the parliament because you have the majority, slim as it is, tenuous as it is, and go and postpone the local government election at your whim and fancy because you have 22 of the 41, only 22, I should say, of the 41 seats in the parliament. You can't do that. And therefore, they told him in uncertain terms that you attempted to usurp, to take away, to undermine the right of the people and to vote and vote who they wish at what time. And then therefore, that is a breach of the constitutional rights of the people. But yet still, Rowley still go in the parliament on top of all the lies that he would have given us and say that he begged to defer, that they did not breach the constitution of this country. What kind of beasts in human form are these people, man? What kind of leaders are they? They are unconscionable. And so the recent one states, as far as the Auditor General is concerned, and has to telegraph to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because I submitted that we are illiterate. We are still illiterate. and numerate population. We're bright. We can read and write and comprehend and understand. But in that brief interaction and the verbal decision that was given, they said, listen, apart from not accepting Imsbert's appeal, we want the matter to go to a different judge for consideration of the judicial review that was submitted by the lawyers of the Auditor General, Alan Ramlogan and others, and to ventilate this matter in court so as to come to a decision whether or not Imsbert was acting willfully, spitefully. You know, I say willfully, spitefully, as he did with the governor of the central bank only because he was appointed by the UNC. And this particular matter with the Auditor General, somehow they want to couch it as if it is some political escapade, some political frolic of the Auditor General, when the issue is very simple. You submitted documentation to the Auditor General that was devoid of verification of $3 billion. She gave you time to, of course, rectify, and you still were short of $2 billion. That is as far as income is concerned, revenue is concerned. But in the case of expenditure, it was $1 billion. You couldn't do it. And more than that, you see, we have to be very meticulous, and we have to understand the criminalistic, or should I say the deceptive nature of this collective of individuals that has been assembled by Rowley in order, of course, not only to deceive, but to deprive us and to, of course, destroy the right of the unborn, those persons who are born yet, and our young people from, of course, living a quality of life that they can at best or to the optimum, because they want to, of course, live higher than their punch, or put another way, higher than what the population is prepared to give them by way of being ministers and prime minister. They want to literally raid the treasury of this country. That is what they have done. That is the plan. It is clear. And then, of course, when in their iniquities and in their deception, they go to the court, spend our money, hire high-priced lawyers, only to fail. Only to fail, and they therefore further deepen not just our suspicions, but our concern as to the profligacy, waste, and diabolical nature of this government. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Yes, the line is open. I know that people are probably stunned by the way how we opened, but a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. A pleasant good night to caller. Welcome. Hello? Hello? I caller, you have to come back. It appears that we have a slight problem here. I'm not. All right. Okay. Let's continue. The lines are open. The lines are open, and of course you can call at any time. Don't believe that you are interrupting. I will have to pause in order for that good cause. That is to say, your intervention on whatever topic you would like to raise. Let's go again and see what is happening here. All right. Good. Great. All right. I think it's a better arrangement now. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, my friend. Are you and me?
Yeah, in California here.
All right, good. Are you and me, right? You hearing me? Good. All right.
Yes, I hear you. Now,
Okay.
here we go, right?
Yeah.
I do some checking.
Go ahead.
And so this matter with Solicitor General,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, with the Auditor
No.
General. Auditor General.
Yeah, the Auditor General. Now the first thing first, right?
Yeah.
When Kamala said that they waste.
Caller, hold on. I have another caller,
shame.
Mr. Kuva, on the line.
You hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, my friend. Somebody just called me.
When Kamala said that it's a public shame and a waste of taxpayers' money, what
Yes.
Kamala really mean, right?
Mhm.
That they didn't structure the document in the right way before they go to the PV Council, number one. And number two, they had us to say why they carry the matter to the PV Council. No, the matter went before a judge, right? No, that judge that the matter went before is a gay judge, right? He gay. I don't know no more detail with that.
Wait, in
And
Trinidad,
he-
in Trinidad, right? You're talking about?
In Trinidad,
Yeah,
the
okay.
first
Go ahead. Yeah,
the
go
initial
ahead.
review. When she
Yeah.
went before that judge,
Yeah,
that,
okay.
that looked like one of them big man partner.
Okay.
He said she have no case there. But I just put it in the layman too.
Yes, no problem.
She will appeal the cause to the appeal court.
Yes.
And the appeal court has had sometimes 4 or 5 judges that sit on that matter. And them say that she have a case because she office is protected by the Constitution. Government have no influence over she office. They have no say over she office, and Col Imbut was acting prime minister, and he appoint a retired judge to go and investigate the claim or what she saying, the 2 or 3.3 billion dollars missing.
Yes.
And he had no right to do that. He went outside the Constitution and asked, and she take him out. And when the appeal court gave say that she had the right, that the government cannot interfere, he called him out. And the government, they didn't satisfy with the appeal court judgment, and they appealed it to the Privy Council. And when they carried the matter to the Privy Council, they couldn't explain to the Privy Council why they went against the appeal court judge's decision. That is the problem there. Right? And because they couldn't show why they went against the appeal court, he send them back to Trinidad. Because she constitutional right now, that office, the government has no say over that. And she is British right to investigate Colin, but that government feel them above the law. The same way they do with the president and the merit list. Right? Mr. Rowley, the same way Faraz and Rowley do with the integrity with the legislation of procurement. Right? Faraz and Rowley, the same thing they do with the commissioner of police.
Hold on. I have
and
another
Rowley
caller on the
control
next
it.
line.
You understand?
Yes,
The
okay.
same thing they're doing with the judiciary. And they're having all these independent commission under control. And this woman stand up. This woman stand up under the Constitution. She was protected by the Constitution. And the court sent her back. So I want to see what's going to happen to this matter now. And move it forward from there.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well said. Of course, all of the nuances that I may have left out, well, of course, we got it. But go ahead, caller. A pleasant good night. Welcome to you. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Corridor Transformation.
Yes,
Good night,
good night.
Lennox. Good night,
Good night to you. Yes.
I have a question and then I have just want to touch a bit.
Yeah, no problem. No
Conversation.
problem.
That's it.
Yeah.
Question is, right? Now, this matter, right? I didn't hear you make a statement that I think the law lords, Privy Council also stated. I don't know if that's factual. Right? I hear a lot. I trend and so why this minister is not investigated in that matter. You could share any thoughts on that?
Right. No.
Why is it investigated?
I have not read. You see, it's a verbal decision. It's a verbal position that they took. I am hearing that as well, but you see, I don't like to focus on something that I don't know about. I love to make sure. I've heard it. I am pursuing it to see where I could get the information from, but it may be some overzealous individual who would put that into it in order, of course, to make the pot sweeter. But this is not about sweeter pot. This is about reality and facts. So, as I'm saying, I will not be surprised, but I have not found anywhere where that statement was made. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to share, like, I wouldn't call the program name, but this is right. One of the programs on 91.9. The last program on that evening, and one of the callers gave specific what the judge had laid out within the statement.
All right, so that's where you got it. That's where you got your source. All right, okay. Thanks.
Yeah,
I will follow up on it.
It's incredible.
Rest assured.
But if that's the case, Lennox, if that's the case, all right, forget the Privy Council. If the Privy Council did not make the statement, are we in Trinidad and Tobago should be calling for investigation to that matter, or we have to wait until the case is concluded within what is taking place between the Auditor General and the Finance Minister? Are we still have to wait on some kind of...
No, we don't have to wait at all. Let me answer the question one time. We don't have to wait at all. We should be demanding that. In fact, of course, we on the ground report, we are now putting something together to demand, of course, an investigation into the Ministry of Finance, under which within which is the portfolio of the Minister of Finance, and we need to get some answers as to why this mammoth discrepancy of $2 billion one way and another billion the next way on the expenditure side.
All right, I don't want to put my input within this call for action, Lennox, is a very serious one.
Yes.
Right, I watch a lot of international events, right? Opposition versus governments, and when things like that happen, they call on the supporters for action, and when they hit the streets, whatever matter is in the public domain, they need results, right? So you see this, and this is my point. These protesters or these action Lennox, I find we're supposed to go to a different level, right? It's not just the media hearing us and we make, all right, we was on CNC3 and we need this matter to resolve, right?
Yeah.
And if it cannot resolve, the government, right? So this, so I know how the word. Or this dissolve parliament, right? Because if Imbud, as the Minister of Finance, do not resign, right? The Prime Minister dissolve parliament and call an election, right? That is my tweet. So you can give it 2 cents if I'm right, if I'm making sense.
Well said. Any rational person.
And I think I don't know how you're working at. I think this demonstration. I mean, this whole Trinidad. I don't know if Trinidad don't know what is $2.5 billion. You know, I don't know. Like we only know 5 cents, 10 cents, and dollar. This is a serious matter.
Yes.
Right? Right, next thing
million,
is Lennox is how much we will say enough is enough, and I see this what the Privy Council had ruled, how they try to discourage this woman. I think this is the icing on the cake, right? This one supposed to register and send home because this government is playing with people, right, man.
That's right.
They're not taking us serious.
Yeah, they're playing the ass. I accept that. You cannot be so incompetent.
We're not on radio. One radio.
Yeah.
So we could use certain language, to make
it sound interesting. But we can take a little laxity on this one. Yes.
Yeah. I have a serious concern about the way how. Well, information coming to me, right, and is alleged, right?
Yes.
The national football team, Trinidad and Tobago Football Federation, right? The money was allocated to York to go ahead to push this campaign forward. My take is, I don't think the public, I don't know if you haven't had the rest of persons who was vying for that position, right? Who they were, how the resume or the portfolio was. It was more attractive than New York, right? And I think it's $2 billion. I don't know if you heard that was given to him to proceed, right? But my question is, why the government did not do that for the other 2 coaches they had before, right? The same assistants, right? This is something serious, and I think I will have to call you and give you some info. I won't say it tonight or night. I'm just crossing My teeth are not in my eyes.
Good.
Right?
Yeah. Because I heard that he
Is
became
it-
coach, but I didn't know he had that behind it. Those issues that you raised there, and that is a valid one. It's
I'm just trying to be sarcastic tonight. Is it the golf teams are pushing a button? Is it the golf team who they golf with, the golfers who are golfing on weekends? The golfers are pushing this button for Dwight York. I will leave it at that. Other information is coming. To that.
Yeah.
A prominent cricketer, a world-class cricketer, will be screened for certain certain area within this coming election.
Candidate
And
in the next elections.
Yeah, candidate,
Okay.
and they are part of the golf team.
I
Lennox, we gotta get serious in this country, you know.
That's right.
Trinidad and Tobago, we in a horse derby, and we wearing blinkers. Right?
Yes.
Time for Trinidad to wake up, eh?
That's
Don't
right.
listen, good program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course. I'm just going to welcome very serious matters raised there, boy. I was not aware, I want to say, of the nexus. I heard of Dwight York's appointment, but I didn't know of all of the shenanigans behind the scene. But now that is so, it shows. But and it's not something that is beyond reality or beyond disbelief. Let me put it that way, because that is how we and they operated or operate over the last 9 years. Always something clandestine and sinister behind these initiatives, and of course taxpayers as a result they get the shitty end of this thing. But go ahead, caller. Good night.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Well, if that man waiting for roll to dissolve Parliament, you have a long wait until next year. Them go exhaust the time limit until they're ready for that.
Yeah, because they're hoping that some devilish accident will take place so that they could so that somehow they could remain in office. But the people's minds are made up. They could jump high, they could jump low. Of course, go ahead, caller. I will certainly make my comment thereafter.
I want to talk about the Vice President of the United States of America, designate, J.D. Vance. You know this fella bringing Lennox?
Mm-hmm.
You know who you are bringing?
His upbringing? No, I don't know his biography, no.
All right, let me get a little something. This man coming from a broken home, abusive mother.
Uh-huh.
His father run away, right?
Yes.
And his grandmother mined him and sent him to Yale Law School. And he become what he is today. In fact, Lennox did a movie on him, man, called Hillbilly Elegy. You could go and look at that movie. It's a very good movie.
Okay.
Right, that was made some years ago. Hillbilly Elegy. Right? And they document the entire life from youth to where you become an adult. And it's a true story of that young fella. I believe if Trump and he play the cards right, he go walk into the White House after Trump leave, you know, because the fella, you can't say nothing bad about this guy. He is a squeaky clean man. He come from the ground, he work his way up, and he is where he is today because of that.
Exemplification of the American dream.
That is the thing I try to come here.
What you prepared, and you are prepared, of course, to make use
work
of the
hard.
opportunities. Yeah.
And what I've seen from him in real, the man seemed like he's a down-to-earth person, a really nice fella. Because they show he went in one of these little what I should say, these place where they eat out now.
Yeah.
This cafe place. And he give the people on them a tip. And he was talking real good with the people. He make fun of the tip. He say, I'm giving you this tip and I ain't putting no tax on it. And when you go hold me to that, because when we reach an office, and if you see I come to give put any tax, you go just show me this paper and I go remove the tax on if that is the truth. We are going to hold it that we're not increasing no tax.
And that's the question we were addressing and debating tonight as we began. The integrity of these fellas in office, fellas and women, are so questionable that it is unfathomable, and you wonder whether or not they really take people one Trinidadians to have a 10 days mentality, and two, they are asses. They really take us for fools. Go ahead, my friend.
We need people to rule this country that will care about the people of this country. Not that talk down and have movie lang and behave like a pig in a sty. You understand what I'm saying?
That's why they go and do the opposite of what they are asking others, the population, to do. That is to say, to be honest, to be straightforward, to manage the affairs of the country, to be equitable, to not engage in nepotism and cronyism, and all of the isms that would generate divisiveness and dispossess people and make them more poor, and of course, and in abject need. Go ahead.
And you know, the poverty rate in this country is just about 25 to 26%.
Yes.
But you can see the 25 to 26% here right now. You know, you have to go to a magnifying glass and find them, because they're in all different areas of Trinidad and Tobago. You have people suffering. They're eating one plate of food a day. They have to choose which meal they're eating. Some of them have money. They can't pay their bills. The working class people I telling you about, you know, people who work into. They can't mind the children, they can't pay their rent, all these sorts of things. People going through these hardships, but this government is totally disconnected from the people of this country. All them seeing is one set of foolish talk and movie land kind of behavior they have, in which they prop up the higher echelons of people in this country. The rich getting richer. And all these things that are happening with the Forex and different things in this country is just a part of what them do in the past, and they're coming back here to haunt we now, because at the end of the day, all these things like Petrotrin and all this
is all of that, yes. All of these things that we are suffering
you
from.
can tell me you saddle Petrotrin with all of this burden from this gas and liquid plant and expect them to pay back all of that?
Yeah.
And you bust the thing on top of them. You hit your wagon on them. And then after you say the company boss, because you throw that gas and liquid thing on them. And this man, Malcolm Jones.
And say the government can no longer carry it. I mean, the government can. You should resign. It is your initiative. You told us that is the best thing since sliced bread, and it has failed. So therefore, you don't want to take the responsibility. The ultimate. This is a public office. This is not your private initiative where you can, of course, bust and then, of course, start again. No. The principle is that you must get the hell out of office. Full stop. Without fail and with immediacy. Go ahead, my friend.
And don't forget they give Malcolm Jones free reign to do as he wanted. Like he was a permanent minister, he could have taken money and do what he want.
Yeah, the first group of people I know in government, the first government I know, you fail, and expect to get sympathy from the population to stay in office. That is to me. Doing something over and over and expecting a different result is not madness. What Rowley and the PNM is doing is madness. That you fail. Every single major matter that is concerned to the national community, in order to advance us, you told us that in the beginning, and then of course they invariably fail. And then you still want to remain there to come back and give us some additional hogwash of some optimism that they would have, of course, created so that you could send the fool further. You should be getting out of office, but they have no principle. And that is why we must be unrelenting. And, of course, we must be totally in a state of hatred for these people. Go ahead.
If Trinidad was a real place, and I ain't talking about on party lines, but a real place where people used to come together for right, I'm talking about right, regardless of what party, whoever in power. And every man jack the stand up in this country, right? The unions, the people from both sides of the fence, everybody, we stand up against the wrongdoings of this government. Also them out of office long time, you know.
Yeah.
Them out of office long, they will not be getting with the nonsense. But the PNM people will keep quiet forever long. You understand? They will not stay anything unless the government change and the UNC go in. Monday morning, them coming outside the Red House to protest something outside it. But until we do that,
we're waiting on those hypocrites that and sycophants and those who are apologists for the nonsense and the irretrievable disaster that is Rowley and the PNM and this administration. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, Lennox said the joke. Yesterday, they went off on the Auditor General. Want to know how she going to carry court matter up in the Privy Council and all that. And why did she must do that for? So she mustn't defend her name?
No, she mustn't defend her name because Rowley and them say so. And let me tell you this, them same people, if Rowley and Hines and Young form a different party, I'm trying to show you how irrelevant they are, but only because they are in the PNM and they are a section of the population that will defend to the hilt that what I consider to be that obsolescence, that Jurassic, that entity that clearly has no place in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago. You take them and they form a party, you know them same people in fat on them.
Yeah, because the 20 line of PNM, they're drinking
of this
and
PNM, this PNM Malaise, this PNM Phantom, this PNM Enigma, and we must disabuse that because particularly among what I consider to be the senior citizens in this country, and in particular along the East-West corridor and pockets of the deep south like Point Fortin and Labrie and so on. These people must understand that the toxicity of the PNM and that no way successive administrators at the helm or at the upper echelons of the PNM, they will continue to do that simply because they know they have people in the society that are that damn stupid, that are so myopic, that they have on blinders and that they cannot see that the PNM has now outlived its usefulness and therefore must be extinguished or become extinct and therefore relegated to the dustbin of political history in this country. Our children and our children's children will be reading about them as opposed to, of course, being in existence to destroy and to, of course, generate pain, ache, and agony of the population. I mean, it is despicable. Are you finished there?
No, that will change in time to come in Lennox within the next 10
years.
Yes.
It may not be in our lifetime. It may not be in our lifetime. I will understand. Because when you look all over the globe, you see that there's a life, there's a shelf life for tolerance of a people of the type that Rowley and the PNM has demonstrated.
I want to get a little joke. I saw on a radio show yesterday. He had an artificial intelligence bot there, right? So there was asking questions, right? People calling and asking questions. One of them come there now and asking which is the most corrupt government this country has ever seen. A PNM caller call for that, in the lifetime, hoping to hear that the bot will tell him UNC. He mentioned PNM
well,
as a corrupt government.
Well, yeah, because you are like who the God just destroy, you first send them mad, and you hear them from time to time. When it is relevant, and when that is not so, well, then the Privy Council will tell them as it is, or the appeal court in Trinidad. That is how it is. Because
no, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's an artificial intelligence being.
But I'm just saying that is reality. The point of I understand what you're saying by artificial intelligence, but I carry the argument further.
Right, but you think talking to you is normal, like how I talking to you,
Yeah.
So you think. You think do I read out of Trinidad and say the PNM is the most corrupt government? In two sessions, it talk about Olara and something else. But let me give somebody else a chance.
Thanks. Yeah, because people calling. We need to give way to others. All right, let me just take this call. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. A pleasant good night to you, my friend, Mr. Tagarigua.
Right, you hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend. The song in crisp and very, very audible.
Yes, man. If I was a judge in the law court in Trinidad, I would ask you to transfer me to the appeal court based on what the Privy Council say. Then we go to judge and appeal for the front judge.
Yes.
Right? In the law court, whoever is that judge will fight, she should appreciate what she said. But what I want to tell you is this. Those are the PNM right now, Right now they're behind in our country.
That's right.
You know what I call it up for the end you got to how much change. You know that Democrats got it all for the and the women. Got it all there, what's and say they want a man for the next 4 years. So I don't sell it out the whole time with away. Like the effect of the got killed they get the old of them. We think what goes at the lock. What put in your hand there?
Yes, yes.
If you want to tell it all the things they do that man. Put it to that man relentlessly, insurance, business, every the bloody thing you could think about. And then they try to kill him twice.
Yes.
And you will see the arm, the same, use what they farm. But you see, the man, I tell you the dogs, go and put your hand in, that's because that's what they get the. They can't recover from that. And he said, we're going to pay you that. But all the prosecution are coming from the institution with. You remember Panama and all that thing?
Yes, yes.
We were only country when that boy came up in Gonzales, right?
Right.
The same thing. So play them right now with total confusion.
They're imploding. I think we suggested that from the time they had to postpone the internal elections, and then we have, of course, the what I consider to be the controversy surrounding Dr. Rowley and it is so stereotypical of Rowley to be dishonest and dishonorable that, you know, he always talk about adherence to the constitution of the party, and it's the oldest party. And of course, he would use the one man, one vote as his signature, let's say, contribution to the constitution. One man, one vote, rather than the delegate system. And you know, as usual, he kicks the can down the road because he did all of that nice, and then he kicks the gang down the road by attempting, of course, to anoint a successor to him. I mean, come on. He believes he's the brightest man in the world. That's what he believes. Yeah. Yeah. And turn out to be. Yeah, turn out to be the greatest ass that could have ever disgraced the office of Prime Minister in this country.
How come they are not meeting at the gun call tonight? After that judgment, public council, you know, I thought tonight you'd have gone big on corner.
Yes.
But they got to have a hotel, you're going to some little building. How come they have meeting tonight? Well, you only have to tell you it's part and parcel of what is unfolding as we speak. The man is a natural destroyer. Everything he touches turns to the biblical pillar of salt. Watch out. Let me update you because I know that you're very busy. When them Democrats were cutting off the hair and all that, women, you know? Yeah. And they said they want no man for the next 4 years and all, so what they're going to do? They're going to do short-term business or what? Yeah. Yeah? I bet you, boys and people who come into America right now, yeah. The caravan, they're breaking up, they're going back home, you know? Well, say what, that is how the cookie crumbles, and that is where the pendulum swings, so that's how it is. People have to see their own interests. You're walking back on the American highway and going back. Yeah. I hear a man called the last time and said that stupid talk. What tariff, and he don't understand what tariff means. Don't study here. You must ask him if he knows the Pan-American highways. He has come from America, right? He has come from America, though. Well, yeah, he has come from the United States, yes. There's several of them. You don't mean that tariffs? He's telling you to put tariff on them people when they come in. What do you think? You could say you go to what you want to say. Yeah, tariff, as you know, I mean, you're a businessman. Tariff is about making it more expensive for the country where the goods is to be sold or imported, right? So therefore, it's up to you. You have a choice. It's just like VAT. VAT, you assume that if something is 15% VAT or 12.5% VAT, as is the case now, you must decide whether or not you want to pay VAT on that particular product or not because of the price, because that will increase the price of the commodity. Nothing different
tariff. That is what that is all about, to keep a certain good out and to of course promote your local production if it is of goods of a similar nature. But if it turns out that your local goods is still, the price is still higher and the consumer has the choice, he will buy of course the tariff the tariff item. Yeah. So it's a customer option. Yeah.
So we eating.
Yeah, but I got the impression he felt that the taxpayers would have been responsible for that tariff. No, it's not. It's not so. It's a very indirect way, but it's not an imposition to tax the population. It's an imposition to say you have a choice. That's
you
it.
will go back home and you tell and you put a candle eating back in America, or if you want to send it in here.
That's right. Make you either take the American-made product or you take the Chinese, but the Chinese has a tariff on it that will escalate the price higher than that of the American product. And you have the choice.
And you go cancel.
Yeah.
Nobody go buy that.
Yeah. So that's how it is. So I think you have it right, and I think by the time we had finished the discussion, I think he had understood that. That is.
Yeah, but I hope so, because you cannot pressure each other. You like if you.
Yeah, he tried, you know. He tried a bully tactic, you know, but I stood my ground. Yeah. I stood my ground. So but I understand that a person who is doing wrong, or in this case saying wrong, but believe he is saying right, you know, they could be very, very stubborn, you know. They could be very stubborn. And that is what that might have been one of the issues that he was subjected to emotionally.
Yes, emotionally.
Yeah.
And he goes along and laugh.
Yeah, because you believe the way say, you really believe. Until, of course, you go and then you realize the little ships boy, I was talking nonsense. Yeah, like me now, I will say, you know, I apologize, I didn't understand it that way, and so on and so on. Like Mr. Barpo yesterday, when, of course, he was saying that the Privy Council didn't want to hear they didn't even want to hear the side of the Auditor General. And they went and made it clear, but it wasn't that. It was the side of Imbert and they stopped them in their tracks, and then they went on, and then afterwards nobody had a chance to talk at all because the decision was made verbally to be, of course, put in writing subsequently, but they thought it fit and proper and important enough to give a verbal decision in favor, of course, of the Auditor General, including, of course, putting the matter before a different judge, and that they should proceed, of course, with the judicial review, questioning whether or not Imbert had the right to put an investigative team to investigate the Auditor General. He selecting the people, he paying them, and he giving them the terms of reference, and he's saying that is objective because the man who he choose is somebody from outside of us, so therefore he was objective. I don't understand these very experienced people from the perspective of the length of time that they have been in Parliament and in government and could make such fundamental asses of themselves.
Already Privy Council sitting nonsense, so they bring him before them.
Yeah. But we have to go. Okay. Yes, my friend. All right, thanks. Yeah, we talk, yes. President, I'd like to welcome Ms. Arima.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Yes, good night to you.
Like the internet moving slow on my side, but let me talk.
All right, no problem. I hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So what I want to say is, the Privy Council could only give a judgment. They can't sanction the government. They can't sanction Imbert. It's just an order. As you see, they say to let it go back to the High Court here in Trinidad in front of a different judge. They just get a little order, right? And then they go have a rounders again. And then the judge, the judge could move different as the first judge. I don't know which judge it go before, the first time around, right? And then they go on to have an inquiry into it, and it's wronged us again, right? And is our money spending? End that story. Privy Council can't do nothing but just give judgment. Look at the time when it had elections for the local election. He didn't want to call it. It had times Manning never called local election. Years and years, no local election. And the UNC in Pandey time and all of that. Right? They sit down and sleep. So this time around, she sit down and sleep. You understand? And there's a person, an activist, and I'll keep saying that. Not one of them MP, none of them go forward to put it before the Privy Council. And it's so we had election. So when I say they're sleepy, they're sleepy. And if you look at the chat, it have a lot of people against the opposition. I ain't calling name, right? It have one say they are to be blamed for what going on. And next one say the same thing, and I agree. Then it have a next one saying that all readers do is talk, talk, talk. They made about 2 sentences saying that talk, talk, talk every day. We ain't protesting for anything, right? And the dumb one who say people ain't coming out and vote, how much vote you want the people to vote? Because, let me tell you something, that person who writes something on the chat, all the UNC voters come out and vote in Central and South is where the UNC tick, and people just come out and vote. They could vote how much they want. All the people in that area could vote how much they want. You hear? Once they get through in the north, all them voters' dogs dead. You was told, Mr. Lennox Smith, to put up a map because it have people that understand this thing, and it need map to demonstrate. Show them the map, how large these areas are. And people, when you check it out, it's thousands and thousands of votes the lady get, and she win no election because it's not by popular vote. So in the north, the east-west corridor, they will always win, right? African people, black people, nigger people ain't coming out no way and going to give up. It's few of them will vote for the UNC. You hear? In the north, east-west corridor. Let them people who vote for Kamala, all them thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of voters, come out and vote. You hear? Let them come out, not vote, sorry, I want to say protest. Let them come out and protest. Stop waiting on P&M people, right? And blaming them and saying that they're only voting for P&M. Mind all your business, drink water and mind all your business and come out and protest. And stop making excuse. It's a set of cowardness. Coward. All you coward. If people ain't want to tell all you that, I telling all you that all you is to be blamed too. Don't blame no P&M people in the east-west corridor here. Blame all yourself. And try and talk to all your opposition leader and stop powder puffing. Right? And next thing, stop getting people race talk and using racial undertones. And when all you get all your ass views up, right? Or they can't take it and looking to complain. As one person, anybody tell me anything about my people, I want all to get it straight. I not like the rest on that program in the morning where they go talk about my religion, which is the Baptist religion, and my people and we church and all kind of thing, and take that and I say nothing. As all you know, I can't call on that program. So I have my fingers, I will text and talk to suit. You understand? Say nothing about my religion nor my people, and I good. Who want to take that as a black man, right?
Caller, hold on. Just conclude.
Let them take it, but not me.
All right.
Not me. Have a good night.
Have a good night to you as well. Well, I did put up the map of one of the results, the typical results in Trinidad to show where all the yellows are. Well, of course, will be representing UNC, and of course, the red is the dots of the PNM. We will discuss that a little further because I have some disagreement with Ms. Arima in a very specific way. But let's go straight, of course, to this caller. A pleasant good night, sir. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox Smith.
Good night to you.
This is Rick Starr.
Hey, please.
How are you doing?
Yeah, welcome, my
Lennox
friend.
Smith.
Yes.
You have so much of commentators. Even that one was talking about we had to pay, and all them things. These people are them. They have no sense. And coming to Miss Arima, she do everything. She don't know that Myers, a single man, went on the step of the hall that was and protest. I sell. If you so like protest, go and protest by yourself. You don't need the UNC to come to protest. And then she's so disingenuous to call the UNC the sleeping and the weak and the belly yellow and all kind of rotten things, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, she probably don't have no children, she don't have no family, and she seems like she's going mad. And what keeps she alive is to call the radio, all the stations, and criticize everybody.
Right.
It's so disingenuous to call these opposition leaders sleeping beauty. You know, now I want to come and rebound, but I don't like to call you again. You know, I want to listen.
Yes, I hear you.
We can't say them things. And if the UNC had to come out and if UNC had to, since Kamala coming in power and she win the election, the party continue to grow. And if it have a fair election, she would win it. Because Rowley and them thief in the election, everything in Trinidad and Tobago is Rowley and PNM because these people have the top positions and they will do anything to keep the position. They don't care about the people in Lamantel, they don't care about the people in Carnage, these the black people. They care about themselves alone and the family and the surrounding, and they will do anything to keep the people. But since Kamala lost in 2015, the party continued to grow. And you're right, when he says she wins some of the elections, Robbie lost. Some of the elections is the general election.
She won more elections than Rowley, strictly speaking, yeah.
And yes, and Rowley didn't win election fair because when the EBC on his side, when they bring the paper, they say no, they keep that paper. Then they find ballot box in Arima. Mr. Arima had the ballot box hiding in Arima.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So people be fair. And the thing about it, even the award that is not 1 hour they give them, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And the Chief Justice says it's illegal to do that, but to call an election again, it wouldn't make no difference and whatever, that didn't make a difference. And, you know, all of this
they can do that without, of course, giving us some more details as to what benefit it brought to the PNM. If you said that Rowley was responsible for communicating with the EBC chairman at the time in order to get that out, there must be some benefit to the PNM, but they have not told us that except to say that it couldn't make a difference. But go ahead, we understand that.
Right. The other thing, right? Kamala Prasad Bisesa is a senior counsel. She's the political leader of the UNC. She's the opposition leader in the government.
Yes.
She have a constituent to run. She have a party to run. She's so busy. She can't do 100 things. And this OAS and them can't sanction no Trinidad and Tobago neither. If they could have sanctioned anybody, they would have sanctioned Venezuela a long time. Then the other thing is that Kamala Prasad Bisesa has so much a thing going on. She's so foolish and dotish. I don't want to tell people that because I sin to call people foolish and dotish. The Bible says that. But there's the guy who just bring up all these cases, I forget his name now, the activist. He's so foolish. He's working for the UNC. So they make it more intellect move
by bringing somebody from the public rather than bringing an MP or a councillor. She don't understand it. She don't have the ability and the common sense to read that line. You understand what I'm saying? UNC doing so much, and UNC go win the election. The UNC don't need no Gary Griffith or nobody else. And Mr. Rima going to vote PNM. All the things. And you can never be a UNC until you go in the office in Shogunas and find out what's going on and get them your opinion and say, Mr. Tanku, as the chairman, but I believe you can make a move to do this. You don't come and blast the people and blast the party and the party weak and they sleeping and this one sleeping and this one that and that. Them nothing government. You blast the PNM. Blast them, but up to now she say not know them, but you know. And I want to correct you just now. The law lord said why they did not investigate him, but the law lord said that in the Bobalam.
They said that, okay. Where can I find it? Where can I find it? Where can I find it?
I read that in the papers where it was
all right, but if you can send that for me now. That's that.
I was
the papers with that.
That was when there was arrested Douglas when they came back.
Because I have not seen it.
And
Okay.
They said, but why did he investigate the woman when why didn't investigate him?
I may want to call another Logan as well, just to get from the horse's mouth. But
definitely don't get it from another Logan. So you see, these people who call in and condemning, them is not part of them, is not team builders. Them is come to match the place.
Caller, hold on. We just concluding.
Yeah, so you know, I just feel so bad for she and I feel sorry for she, you know, because something bothering she. And she seemed to be a single mother. You know, the way she took, giving support. So instead of she go by the madhouse, let she get some help go by the madhouse. And I'm sorry to, you know, to be so but it's sickening, you know, for somebody to, she know that she live in Venezuela, go back to Venezuela and stay with Maduro and them.
All right. You make your point. Yeah, okay, you make your point. President tonight, welcome. Of course, very hectic tonight, very, very animated. But go ahead.
Yes, I just want to share some of the sentiments that Arima mentioned in a comment. And again, she's other caller come and trying to discredit her. One of your callers, previous caller before Arima, stated that if the UNC come into power and they make any mistake, you will see the demonstration, right? And you will see the demonstration from the PNM supporters, right? So what Mr. Arima saying, shows some kind of light that they are calling on the UNC 310,000 supporters. If they get 25% of that, you understand? To come out, Lennox, watch world news, I think was one of them African countries, I think was procurement legislation that or something that the
budget
and the opposition call on the supporters to come on the streets, and the heart was to reverse the situation.
Yeah.
Because if this thing with the procurement, the thing with him, right, or with the Auditor General, right? If that was under the UNC Lennox, I will stay from Carnage and see Port Spin burning. Why, when people are calling on the UNC supporters to come out, right? When the UNC was in power, right? The PNM link up with all groups in Trinidad and Tobago, you understand? And force the UNC out of power. When not force them out of the power, make sure they lost the election. Why the UNC supporters not doing the same? This will bring some kind of awareness to people in Trinidad and Tobago. Why the supporters of the UNC cannot see that? Why? Well, I'll continue. PNM working there. PNM is a well-oiled machine, Lennox. And I hope in 2020, everybody, UNC sure they was winning the election, you know. They were sure, big man. I listened to this with Skippy and hours before. and they were so confident. Big man, we need demonstration on the streets from the UNC supporters, and I fully endorse Mr. Rima on that. Locked on listening.
All right. Well, point taken. There is a counter view, of course, that you can use alternative mechanism, which, of course, the UNC has been using to their advantage, whether it be the courts and decisions that would have had the force of law to be reversed. You also have, of course, social media and a number of platforms that are engaged. And let's face it, quite apart from the PNM, whites in government will use force brutally in order to shut down protests. The UNC is not of that ilk. The UNC will allow people to organize their democratic rights. But more than that, all right, let me go to the lines first, and then of course we'll continue. President Knight.
Yes, Mr. Lennox. Let's focus. Look the map right in front of us, right?
Yeah.
Right. Look at how much red.
President Knight, just hold on, caller. I have another caller now. Oh, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, look proof in front of us. Look how much red. And look how much yellow. It's more yellow than anything.
Yeah.
It's only missing Tobago, right?
Yeah.
So it's showing you how these areas in Central and South Trinidad are large areas. And the amount of voters there, that yellow mean is how the people vote. You understand? People must understand this kind of thing. And this is what this dum-dum in the United States calling to talk foolishness about what I say, that the people are protesting and the UNC opposition leader sleepy. And I want to thank the caller who called before me because he have brain. You understand?
Yeah.
People like he don't need no map and thing, they're fully aware.
All right.
But this next one we call from the state.
No need for any recrimination. Let's just deal with it.
Let a man pee and go in his bed now, man. This kind of man.
Okay. Thanks. President Knight, welcome.
Yes, good night. Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox. Good night to everybody on the line. Yes. Mr. Lennox, listen, well, in this case here, Mr. Rima is quite right, because that is something that I has been always saying for the longest while. With 300 and something thousand people who voted for the UNC, that call, right, that anti-Kamala and the ministers and them should be really getting together and try to get the people out there. You understand? But I know what I come to talk about. Here I come to talk about Mr. Lennox. Mr. Imbert, right? He should be in jail. This man, these people function outside the constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, right? And look what come and happen at the Privy Council. Are you telling me that in both of them still handling our affairs? He handling our affairs? This man and Rowley and them people should be in jail. Is a set of mad people we're dealing here with? Or a set of scams, 132? Just imagine that. I really can't believe this thing, you know. But Mr. Lennox, before I say something, I'll tell you, look, I go. Have a blessed night, Mr. Lennox, and everybody in the line. God bless.
I hear you, and I concur with your anger, and you ought to be, and more people should show their anathema to this government, because it is a fact. It's what it is. But let us see if we can rationalize, because I too would be of the view that foot on the ground is an effective, or put another way, another effective way of addressing the concerns of the population by getting them out there. But I think tomorrow, if the UNC wants, they can mobilize a large amount of persons to get on the streets. I have no doubt in my mind. But it appears that is not, or put another way, I don't want to say not, but I don't have their brief. But at this time, that is not, appears so far to be a consideration until we have seen it once or twice. but not in the way that we would like. Oh boy. All right. Let me go straight to the line. I'm Pleasant good night, and then we have another call.
California here again, man.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. And let me just tell this person. Just hold on, caller. Another person is on another line. But go ahead, California.
I have to give you credit, you know. You're very courage, guys. To listen to all them abuse and things.
Yeah.
And them changing the topic and going astray and all kind of thing. You really have to have courage and focus, right?
Oh yes.
We were talking about the is the Auditor General?
Yeah, the Auditor General. Yeah, we started there. Yeah.
Right. And I hear one of your callers now. I listen to them, and they show you how out of focus these people. One of your callers call and say that is the Auditor General who carry the government to the PV Council. You can correct that? Who will carry who to the PV Council?
Is Imbert carrying the Auditor General's decision of the appeal court in Trinidad to the Privy Council? Yeah.
Right, that is what I know.
Yeah.
And the caller saying that it's not the Auditor General, it's Imbert. Now the other thing is, right, the reason why the Auditor General carry Imbert and the government to court, to the local court, to the High Court here in Trinidad, is because they was abusing the authority and the power. She office is under the Constitution is protected.
That's right.
She is in an independence office, and then both of them try to mix politics with that, and that is where they get the blows.
Yeah.
Right, and then they send them back to the country and tell them that if the appeal court say the woman is right and she within the constitutional right, why are they trying to violate it? Come up with the same thing.
Yes.
Now the question is, 2015 election, right? The Rowley call on the EBC to extend the time for election, right or wrong?
Yeah.
Right. Why the EBC being an independent, just like the Auditor General did not tell Rowley, you cannot do that. Why? Let me deal with it as it is, because here they're talking about area to vote and area in red and yellow, but let me deal with it. Why the EBC did not tell Rowley that this office, the government has no control over, and you cannot come here and tell me to extend the voting by 2 hours. And secondly, why the CJ did not tell Rowley what he did was illegal by extending the 2 hours in the EBC, to the EBC for the people to vote. But he condoned it. He condoned it. The EBC condoned it, and that is one of the reasons why they're in power. You could have 1 million people going and voting. The people who supposed to make sure the right thing take place, them infringe on it, them violate the rights of the people. So if they want to talk justice, let me do it in the right way. Some of these callers, and I listen to them, they're real out of focus. Yeah, and I don't know how you did have that courage to listen to them, but I have to give you kudos for that. Anyhow, Lennox, I'll listen again.
Yeah, my friend. All right. Go ahead, caller, on my handset. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah,
Caller, go ahead. Yes.
I quite agree with a lot of callers. A lot of the callers that call in there, I agree with many of them.
What specifically? Because you have two sides of the coin.
This is a very serious matter. $2.6 billion is a lot of money.
Right.
It's not PNM money, it is the people's money.
Right.
People have to get serious. I mean, you see the talk. This talk thing. A lot of people don't know the Constitution, you know. The problem is the population don't know the Constitution. You see, you have the right to protest. Marching is a different thing. Justice Rahim have to give up a judgment. Some of the people, even some of the unions, don't know the rights of their rights, the citizens' rights. You have a right to protest in a peaceful manner. But that's what I call about. I want to call about some country that has protests. You know what the country was? Mozambique. Where the opposition.
And Tanzania as well. Tanzania started it.
Yeah. Mozambique, right?
And Tanzania. Yeah. Hello? Okay, that person. That person finished their contribution. All right, let's go to the next one. A person good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. That's a good night. We lost that one. Yes, indeed. All right, let's go back to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Oh, I'm on?
Yes, you're on. Live and direct.
Solid. Now, in reference to what that guy was just speaking about with the EBC.
Yeah.
If the EBC was really an independent body, there would be no need for Kamala to be calling for observers for the election. But we know that the ABC is a PNM ABC. We know the judiciary is PNM.
Yes.
And we know all so-called independent bodies in Trinidad and Tobago are PNM. So that is thank God for the Privy Council, so that whenever there's anything, you go to the local judiciary, you know you will lose, and eventually you'll have to end up in the Privy Council in England, which is the only, and without the Privy Council, there will be no justice. There's my own feeling. There will be no justice in Trinidad because everybody is bought and paid for by the PNM. And one more thing before I go.
Go ahead.
I am glad that there is a new president-elect in America. I think those Democrats were really insane. I mean, you want me to call a man a woman and to call a woman a man? That's insanity. So thank God. I mean, they did everything that they can they try to assassinate him. That physically, they try to assassinate his character. They try to bankrupt him. They did everything possible. But I saw the hand of God in that.
That's right. I share that view implicitly.
Yes. So those are my remarks. And I agree with another caller who talked about, I think there's a woman who calls herself, they call her Miss Arima.
Yes.
Now she knows stuff, but I think she goes on and on and on and on a little bit too much. It becomes overbearing. And then her bedside manner, it leaves a lot to be desired.
A little sharpening up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Polish him.
Yeah, it was a point of ad nauseum that I had to, kind of truncate her last presentation because I saw she was getting obnoxious.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
But she knows stuff. All right. Take care, Lennox.
She's very enthusiastic. She's very enthusiastic, and she's zealous, of course, and she is, of course, a stickler for her point. But I want to address this question of this protest. You see, because I believe that those who believe that is the ultimate weapon to bring down the PNM. I think there's a greater amount of evaluation and in-depth analysis to see whether or not that is so. And of course, we have to always nestle our position based on history and therefore experience being the best teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you were off. Sorry.
No, I'm still here. I'm listening, man. Listen, I want to say one thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead quickly because I thought you were off. Yeah, go ahead.
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yes.
Now, with regards to protest.
Hold on. Hold on the next slide. Go ahead. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The way how I look at protests in Trinidad is like it's carnival. It's a big joke.
Right.
Organize and organization is what is really necessary.
Yeah.
Making people aware of what the real issues are. Mm-hmm. I think everybody knows about the issues in Trinidad. Yeah. High cost of living, gasoline, everything. Corruption in the PNM, endless corruption. An incompetent commissioner of police appointed by the PNM.
Yes.
We have Mr. Rowley, Blessy Prasad, and Paul Lemay, which should be in jail because this is public misbehavior in office.
Yeah.
And you can't have a merit list, and because the name at the top of that list is a name you don't agree, you don't like the person, what the hell that got to do with your feelings?
And
if the TTPS is an independent body.
That's right. That's your responsibility.
So
you
let's
have
slip
to the
aside.
parliament.
Yeah, they should be in jail.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you can't just come out and protest. You have to have government permission. Isn't that so?
That's right. That's where I was going.
Law.
But go ahead. I like your trend. But of course, I will wait until you have exhausted your position, and then we'll take the other call, and then of course I will do the summary.
Essentially, that is all that I have to say.
All right. Thanks very much for that intervention.
So thank you for the time.
Yeah. I want to tell that caller, that last caller, please go to the top of the class. By and large, I think he understands what are the pros and cons of on the ground, feet on the ground protests in the context of Trinidad and Tobago. We have to be very careful. Context of Trinidad and Tobago, right? And of course, in relation to a PNM administration or in government. We will look at that afterwards. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. I think this is Mr. Point 14.
Hey Lennox, my pleasant good night to you and everybody and live near and far.
Yes, a pleasant good night to you.
So what I see where bank now put out a statement and saying they're reducing the amount of US on your card now.
Yes. Royal Bank, all the banks now. I think Scotiabank, I think was the latest.
Right. So people, I don't know if it's me, but I see a white elephant in the room, and like a lot of people ain't seen it because we talked about this some months ago. Some months ago, I noticed by the gas station they keep running out of premium gas, right? And then today now I see a post on Facebook where somebody was saying that they have a shortage diesel and premium gas. And for the longest while I've been saying it on the program, the things that happen in Sri Lanka is going to occur in Trinidad and Tobago whether they like it or not. If they get shovel and fork and dig out the PNM like yam and cassava in the ground, this country is going to get bankrupt. And that is the only how I will see everybody go flood the street. You see when they go by that gas station and you waiting there for days to get glass, a gas up in the vehicle, people go realize how serious this thing is. Because I've been going back through these news clippings from Sri Lanka 2 years ago, and like this thing, every time I look at it, like it's yesterday, this thing, we is going to get us, and then TNT can all have a little protest and all too, so all that are not going to affect us. That is the white elephant in the room. Shortage of gas is coming, whether they like it or not. If they find some way to get rid of the pain, and before I go Lennox, I sent you a video earlier on today. I see like you take a look at it. But some was saying something about Rowland and some program on Iowa station. If you can take a look at it,
I will.
Please, I will to share.
Yeah, I will, because I don't want to, because I am taking a look at something. You know, it have deep imitations and so on, and then you have people talking as though they are, in fact, statements come from the source that we know. So I'm very meticulous about that. So I will certainly take a look at it, and if it does not meet the standard that I want, I will reference it, but I will not show it out of an abundance of caution. That's all. All right? Because
Lennox, the person who I see put up a message into their action saying, hey, this thing will popular legit. Yeah. Well, up to now I get a response from it, but it's a part of mine that post it now.
No problem. I'll take a look at it, because I had one where somebody was very convinced, just as you, about something Sanfa Kojo said, because somebody was running them. But when you look at the video, you realize that it couldn't be a true representation of what, or it could have been a figment of somebody's very creative imagination. Let me put it that way. All right. So, but certainly I'm going to take a look at it. All right. All right.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. So, I want to comment on this foot on the ground scenario that one or two persons, and of course, let me address that one time too. That I am not perturbed of persons who, of course, are making recriminatory statements or they're making obnoxious statements. If necessary, they may be extremely vociferous, if that is the appropriate word, and they are very steadfast in their position as to what should be done. Of course, there is the judgment call that whether or not a person is sincere when they criticize, of course, the UNC in particular, because that is where the pendulum will be swinging now. The UNC is, of course, waiting for government, waiting in government, and therefore we are going to have a lot of persons coming on and making statements, pretending, of course, to be objective, but really and truly it is a subjective one to achieve a particular outcome, influencing, of course, opinion forming by others who may be of a different view. I understand that. So for me, that is water on duck back. Whether you attack me or not is irrelevant. I will state my position and make it very pellucid. But that being as it may, the other area that I want to look at is that, of course, the issue was raised as to whether or not the Privy Council has the force of implementation. I want to say, just as a decision made by the courts in this country, whether the High Court or the Appeal Court, on a particular matter, there are ways and means to enforce. Understand that. Let me repeat. If any one of the courts make a decision that is not contested, or put another way, the final contest of that matter is a decision of the Privy Council, there must be ways and means, whether it's the government or private people, to enforce that. Understand that. I'll come back to it. Let me just finish with this call, and then, of course, we will treat with that, because I don't want anybody to be of the notion that somehow the government could ignore what the Privy Council say by choice, or they are not obligated. Or you're mad? But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Yeah, go ahead, yes.
Right, but they bring down the government twice, PNM. You know, put it?
Yeah.
You never have to put it?
That's right.
Kamala beat them, they don't put it.
Yeah.
We get anybody put it here, when I will not make it for that man.
Yeah.
Not so?
Yeah.
So that's to go down protest, Kamala go bring them down again.
Yeah.
And just only. You cannot ignore the Privy Council here.
Are you mad?
And you just said you want to watch it.
But you wouldn't believe what will come down on Trinidad and Tobago. Let Rowley, in other words, then, did do what the Privy Council say and immediately call local government election when his intention was to call it a whole year after that decision. Taking joke about. Yeah, I cannot sit here and have anybody mislead anybody in this way. Go ahead.
Yeah, when the Privy Council give an order, that's it.
That's it.
Well, we can't say, but you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that.
No, they go come here with a battleship and that kind of thing, if it's that what they're talking about. But certainly, there are mechanisms to make sure that they enforce. If he didn't do that, for sure the government fall. For sure the government fall. For sure. Yeah, for sure. Understand that. Why you think he had to run there? Because he knows how to stretch the envelope and where not to go further. So he goes to the parliament and says, listen, no, I didn't infringe the constitution. But of course, in a couple of weeks' time, we will have local government elections. Reluctantly as he would have liked. Reluctantly as he did. Let him don't do it now. But go ahead, my friend. Go ahead. I thought it was important to disabuse that. Go ahead.
There is no time, because when the rest of them was talking about we win 2 and them win 1, and therefore we win. You know, they were that. So they are more sense to that. Than that, he get together quick and call the election.
Yeah.
But he that the Malvary and them, they say we win 2, we win 1 in lower court and the appeal court, and then win 1 if we come to 2-1. He said, "It's man."
Yeah, this is not Maduro and Venezuela. This Trinidad and Tobago is still a democracy and still, of course, being monitored by other agencies to which we are attached regionally, hemispherically, and internationally. Go ahead.
Yeah, so many people come to say, that is it. Now, so many people come to obey.
You have no choice. That's it.
Yes. All right, Father. Later.
Yes, okay. Oh, that way we'll make the difference. Thank you. Yes, indeed. So let's get that clear. They must adhere to the decision of the Privy Council. That's the highest court when they make a decision. It will be foolhardy to think that the Privy Council could come with a battleship and all that kind of nonsense. Do not go there. There are other mechanisms to make sure that the government, when a decision is made against them, that they implement their mechanism, including our standing in the region, the hemisphere, and in the world. Otherwise, you are a pariah state. You are a lawless state. And there are means to treat with that, particularly a small society, a small country like Trinidad and Tobago. But let's get down, of course, to this question of boots on the ground scenario. The callers are correct. The history has shown that not one government, on the basis of protests, have called, and they were subjected to it in government, and call early elections. It's only Manning called it on his own volition. There was no mass protests, but he called early elections. Let me repeat, there were no mass protests. There were concerns about, let's say, for example, telling the people on the hill that he's going to buy out Picton. There's, of course, the smelter matter. Yes, there was, of course, the property tax matter, the tax matter. All of them did not attract mass protests up and down Trinidad and Tobago. Let's not waste time. I come in there. I ain't finished yet. But in addition to all of that, the PNM in government has demonstrated, particularly this government, that they are prepared to breach the rule of law and fundamental principles and rights of the people to protest. Utilizing what? Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, you know. Utilizing the police. Utilizing, of course, the very old, archaic Sedition Act. And they have used, of course, the act that is confined or is construed and dedicated only to the magistrate's court. Inside of that, a piece of legislation or law has, of course, under what condition protests can take place in Trinidad and Tobago. And one of which, if you're marching, you have to get permission from where? The police commissioner, solely, only. And we have seen that the government, by its shenanigans and its undermining and its blatant and unadulterated high-handedness and putting people in offices such as the office of the Commissioner of Police, or taking them out for that matter, as we saw with Gary Griffith, is prepared to have people compromise their own integrity and their objectivity in determining whether or not they should give permission for marching. And don't tell me you don't know, because you have been part of the pushback movement. You saw what happened in pushback 3, in pushback 1, in pushback 2, in pushback 3. The only pushback we didn't have problems with was in pushback 4 or 5 up at Edinburgh 500. And we were getting some static there as well. Don't tell me I don't know that. And I was the person who answered the phone. The police didn't know. When Andy Williams, when the police said that we could only pray by, of course, they cordon off the bandstand, even though I went and dropped a letter for the mayor to use the bandstand, they cordoned it off, so we couldn't have it. But the good thing, our strategy was to go by the Butler, I think it's the Butler statue, just east of the bandstand on the promenade in San Fernando, and have our meeting. I know what they told us. We said it's a religious march, so we didn't have to have permission. But they tell us we cannot engage in any pilgrimage, meaning that a religious march. That's not waste time. Let's continue. Let me take the call. After take the call, because we give calls a priority. I know some people may be frustrated that I have to break in my flow. But go ahead, Tagarigua.
I want to ask you one thing. I want to tell you something.
Go ahead.
The first one I will ask you, why they cancel people party to become the line?
Why what?
You had $1 million party for some young leader in the become on the become. And the police stop it. You have any idea why they do that?
No, but I am not surprised. I'm not surprised. Depending on the elements there, and there were recent killings in Laventille. Yesterday. So it will be part and parcel of that. Yes. So that is a normal thing. The police will normally stop parties in the Beatam and so on.
In those kind of areas.
Yeah, because of the possibility of let's say violence that will emerge. Yeah.
Right. The next thing I want to tell you is,
yeah. Hold on, caller. I'll call you. I'll take you in a while. Go ahead, Mr. Tari. Yeah. Well, let's see.
Like the end of that.
All right.
You want to ask him about the place or?
All right.
Yeah. All right. That's all I wanted to find out. I wanted to tell you.
All right.
Okay, then.
Yes. President, good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night. Good night to callers and the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sir, I went away for a couple of minutes, but here he was giving a testimonial on the matter with pushback 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and how the government. Right, but Lennox, I'm saying again, right? I don't want to like a challenging the host, right? But no.
Go ahead. It's Chris.
Yeah,
it's quite all right. I will reserve my right to, of course, disagree. So don't feel that you are offended me in any way. You make your point, and of course, I will respond appropriately. Go ahead.
Yes, Lennox. Citizens coming out in the mass numbers will outnumber the police. You understand?
Yeah.
And when the police have no other choice, they will have to take a other approach. You understand? We can outnumber the police and showing this support of demonstration that we are serious. Because in the rest of African countries or the first world countries, some of the protesters may seem to be using heavy force, but the message does be heard. You understand? So this thing, but the Lennox people in Trinidad, I believe, ready to do no matter what the government try to put on the citizen, they are fed up and they have to show that resistance. They're back against the wall, right? And they can send what they want out there, right? We send a message to this administration. Enough is enough.
Yeah. All right.
Right? Doctor, listening.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Well, I will address that specifically with respect even to the Mozambique and the Tanzania protests. And let me deal with that one time. If you notice with these protests against, of course, rising prices, etc., and the rolling back of the budget, particularly in Tanzania, you know what? There was no leader. They couldn't identify a leader, and they had similar laws like us, but the government was a little more, I should say, accommodating. Let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Yes, Lennox, once again, I have to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Regarding what that caller just said about the civilians outnumbering the police. No, that is insanity, because that is, to me, it sounds like anarchy. And knowing a man like Rowley, knowing the PNM, and knowing how heavy-handed they are, I could just imagine what will be the result of that. So, you know, I don't. You need cooler heads.
Go ahead, because I'm getting to a similar view. What you're saying is parallel, but I'll say it differently. But it's parallel with what I am advocating. But go ahead.
Because
if you have anything more
you know,
to add.
I saw a small protest with some elderly people. I can't remember how long ago it was, because I think it was in the...
As well as people who were physically
right.
or differently able in front of Flour Mill. Yeah,
right.
But go ahead, yes.
And look at the result of that.
Yes.
Tear gas and all kind of crazy business.
Yes.
And then you had a fool who got on some program with Inspector. He's now Superintendent Alexander.
Yeah.
Calling the woman all foul, and being totally disrespectful. And this, I mean, Rowley's a man who's very disrespectful himself.
Yeah.
So if that is what the head is, could you imagine what those below him are?
And is prepared to use the coercive forces of the state to quell and beat people into submission of quietness.
Yes. So when this man talking about the civilians outnumber the police, I get a vision of police on horseback, police dogs, police in riot gear, and they will beat people, and they have no respect for black people, You know that.
Tear gas, etc.
So they will be merciless.
Yeah.
They will be merciless.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, I'll be concluding in a while, but let me take this call before. Pleasant good night to Miss Santa Cruz. A pleasant good night.
Lennox, a pleasant good night to you. I've been listening.
Yes.
I've been listening, but I just want to let you know people are getting problems getting onto Facebook. Lennox, I have been listening. And I'm listening to some of these empty dustbins. You see, it's very easy to say why the UNC don't go there. No, it's true. And to protest. Lennox, is the UNC alone the opposition in this country? Or anybody opposed to government policies? I would think it's everybody that's opposed to government policies. Lennox, we have had 557 murders in less than 300 days.
We have a caller on the line. Go ahead, Ms. Sanders. Yes.
Yeah, we have 557 murders in less than 313 or 14 days. Right?
Ms. Akuba, just lower your volume on your device.
Go ahead, Lennox.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm getting a very disturbing noise in the background.
Yeah. I don't cut him off.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Mr. Cooper, but I don't cut you off because you're giving an echo. Go ahead.
Yeah, very bad echo, yeah. Lennox, 557 murders, right? In 311 days.
Yeah.
So far, we have not had statistics on home invasions, right? We had 22 babies, I would say, being killed in the queue. Because the report said it was through carelessness that those babies died. Lennox, when a protest is called, right? When a protest is called, how many people come out? How many people come out, Lennox? Some of them only come out for fame. Some of them come out to sell their wares. Some of them could come out for I don't know what. Right?
Well, Mr. Cooper, just hold on.
I remembered Lennox when I would still call his name because he was somebody I used to admire.
Yeah.
When Victor Roberts had his march in from the Savannah, right? Around West Savannah to Woodford Square. We were stopped in the Kwesi. Right? I was part of that march.
Yeah.
We were stopped in the Kwesi. But it's a good thing Kyle Taklar Singh and other lawyers were there with him, right? Then they gave us permission to proceed, although he had permission. You know, when we reached Woodford Square, the square was up and we were not given permission to go into the square.
Yeah, we got the same thing in Pushback 5, remember that? I mean, Footback 4. We got the same thing, yeah?
Yeah. Even when we, as you rightly said tonight, when we went to the promenade in San Fernando, right? What took place there?
Yeah.
I never see so many police come out.
Yeah.
For what, an innocent march? Where are all these people, Lennox, that have been touched by crime? Why are they not out there? But you're not hearing nobody asking that question. You're not hearing anybody asking that question.
Yeah.
Where are the people for the high food prices? Where are the people for the gas? Where are the people of this thing that happened with him, but the Auditor General? Where were the people, Lennox? We saw the protest. We were there.
Yeah.
When we went down there and supporting her. They just come and tell you this, just like a set of empty dustbin banging on the pavement looking for relevance. Right? We are the opposition.
You have to be pragmatic, man, and you have to be realistic, because there are a number of nuances that needs to be brought into the consciousness of those who believe it's just a simple exercise, which of course I'm determined to do before tonight's program. If not, I'll continue tomorrow night, but it needs to be said one time.
Because
yeah.
You see, Lennox, I'm going to tell you something, Some people wanted to get down to the level of violence. We are not violent people. We made that very clear. Who want a violent protest, so they go right in. Look at how we felt when we got the tear gas. I remember the day they brought the bus first. You, Mikey, and Winston, the psychic, the Ragu, was standing there when I came to tell all that I was leaving. Mikey turned to me and said, "Go now, because they send the bus coming to arrest the protesters." Right? And just as I got into the car that brought me, the bus pulled into the savannah. Yeah.
And I escaped because Mikey was standing next to me. They took Mikey, but they didn't take me because they didn't believe they couldn't believe that one of the organizers would have been dressed in the way that I did. And therefore they ignore me. I had on my slipper and my short pants and so on, and looking like
yes, I remember.
like an insignificant.
But Lennox, you know what? I know it's getting late and whatever, but I'll just say this, right? You see, to the people who come out here in support of us, I admire them.
Yes.
I admire them. You understand?
Yeah.
Because some of them, some of them are just keyboard warriors. They're not coming out here, right? They're not coming out here and helping, and they just want to talk.
Yeah.
Or they come out here for their own benefit, right? But to those who came out and all the protested them, I admire them and I say thank you to them. And I hope as we move forward, the people will really wise up and come out and stand up against this government. But no, they only want to stand up against the opposition. Lennox, thanks a lot, and we'll chat again tomorrow night.
Yeah, no
Take
problem.
care.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
go ahead, caller. Go ahead, Kuba.
I know it's late and you might want to lock up just now. So
Yeah,
I won't take long. I'll be short.
Yeah.
But see, I have it out tonight.
Yeah.
I look at a good few marches and protests, right?
Right.
And I want to call four marches to mind. You see, Trinidad is a mixed country, right?
Yeah.
It has African and it has Indian, right? Two march Sri Lanka and this country, Bangladesh.
Hold on, caller. Just taking Miss Kuba here, then I'll take you. Go ahead.
In Sri Lanka, the population is mostly Indian.
Right.
And in Bangladesh, the population is mostly Indian. And in them two protests, the people become violent and they run the prime minister them out of their property and out of the country.
Yeah.
Right? They become so violent that they went into the prime minister's house, sabotage it, and run them out, bathe in the swimming pool and all kind of things. The two other protests I see in Africa, right? People was beaten and shoot, right? For protesting, and I didn't have no leaders, but they was protesting against tax and some high prices and some other things that the government...
The budget that was...
right, and the government said that they're going to address it and fix it, and they didn't know that people were going to respond. As I say, Trinidad is a mixed country. It has African and it has Indian. Indian might do something different to the African, and African might do something different to the Indian. In a protest, it doesn't really have control of the crowd. And you don't know what they have in mind and who can go wild, right? If it's a demonstration and it's going for peace and order and you're demonstrating to the government, you have the right to protest in a decent way. You can't go and cause no violence. You could get locked up, right? You could get yourself in trouble and all this kind of thing with the government, with the law. And you can't say you will have control that you're going to protest orderly. As I say, you don't know the minds of these people right now. So having a march or a protest is good, but it also have risks behind it. So that's my point, brother.
Right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me get to the next caller before I'm anxious to get to my closure. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Wrap up on my statement. One caller used the word that anarchy, that that I promoting when I say outnumber the police. But let me just clarify my statement, right? What I mean that people coming out in the numbers for peaceful protest, right? Right, in the heavy numbers, and wherever. If you know how this government mischievous when they see a certain numbers go, whatever decision they want to make, but it will be a peaceful protest. It will lead to how the police or the state react. You understand? Right? But we coming out in our numbers for a peaceful protest. So me looking to cause no anarchy. So if we don't if in your terms it's something like anarchy, that's what we need a freedom fighter here then. We need somebody to come and rescue us. We need a barbecue from Haiti. That's what we need in Trinidad because what is going on here? It seems that the government paying no attention. Are they realizing that? And we calling for a peaceful protest, but the government don't make up the mind and all the march until all the stolen foot burn out, they don't care, unless they see how serious the people are. And this lady talking about empty dustbin. You see this woman? And she statement, but not every garbage follow the garbage truck that run behind it. So we'll leave it at that. And I know what I'm talking about. I was a part of our organization leading up to 2015 for the Boer farmers, where we was displeased of the wetland and the demonstration. It was massive, right? And the PNM joined that demonstration when the last one when Manning put him out of office, right? So it has several groups who send when PNM was in power. You understand? Come out and support, right? The government, the opposition come out and support the marches and then. So now we are calling on for the opposition to send out the supporters. Miss Lady, so I hope you could be part of that demonstration. You understand? Lennox, you all work in tandem with certain organization for the when was the COVID? So why all they don't bring back? Let's start getting back and having discussion with this organization. Right? And not only all working on things, but people are entitled to their opinion and don't try to discourage people because it's someone in a kind of way that we put in blame on the opposition. If the opposition has to take a little blame, let it take a little blame. People are discussing matters here. And nobody
that's why I'm so liberal and I'm so accommodating.
But disrespectful about the empty garbage bin.
All right,
Miss Lady, I have respect for you, sure. I listened to this woman a long time,
All right, no problem. No need to fight fire with fire. If you're
the program you're putting them, you're classing them in a certain category or what? What's your mouth, Miss Lady?
All right. All right, my friend. Okay? All right, a pleasant night. Welcome.
Yeah, good night once more again, Mr. Lennox, and good night once more again to everybody in the line. Listen now, Mr. Lennox, listen now. You know, this week here, right? I remember seeing the headlines on I think it's the Express or the newspaper, but I more believe it's the Express, right? And the headline reads, "Inbird, Forex coming." So I say, well, but this had to be the joke of the century. This is the man who created the Forex crisis, and you come to tell the country Forex coming. Oh, yeah, you gotta be an absolute clown. It's only mad people that think like that, you know.
They have this brass faces, they have this obnoxiousness, they have this belligerence, frankly, that is really a square peg in round hole idea, argument, and individuals themselves. They seem to be square pegs in round hole beings. But go ahead.
Yeah, but Mr. Lennox, listen to this. I looking at how TNTech protesting, right? We have a forex crisis in this country, and everything seems to be going downhill, right? And this is a very clear reminder of how Venezuela first started off and what they become today, you know. And it seems that we are heading down this same road. You understand? And something have to be done to get rid of people like Rowley and Imbert and Stuart and these evil bunch of men and women, you know. Because we get mad. Otherwise, boy, crap of smoke we pipe in this country, you know. These people too evil. Look, Mr. Lennox, I go there. God bless. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Let me see if I can quickly summarize. I have to continue with this tomorrow, but of course it's after 10:30 already. Right? So time seems to be evaporating expeditiously. But I want to make the point again about the ferociousness of the PNM in terms of people protesting in their various pockets. And let me say again, during the last 9 years of the PNM, I want you all to go back and check it. There has been more protests than any other period in this country as far as protest is concerned. You have very large ones, like of course the whole question of the 1970. You have of course the water riots in 1903, but in terms of periods and succession of protests, the most amount in the history of this country has been under the Rowley administration over the last 9 years. Go back and check it. We alone organized 5 plus 3 or 4 letters to be delivered when we realized that the police would come and try to stymie. So we had to find ways and means in order to protest. All of those were protests, and those to come. If we alone, I ain't talk yet about those that the trade unions initiate, and I think off the cuff I could say they organize about 5. So if we alone, 5 and 5 is 10. Plus, of course, those 3 others, so that is 13. And then, of course, you had the New Wave movement. And you had, of course, those children protesting around the savannah, etc. And mind you, it is my view, I say my view, that you see those gang wars and killings, etc., is a form of protest as well. I will explain that later down the road, putting on, of course, my criminology or criminologist cap to show you the nexus between those developments and protests. Why am I saying all of that? Because I want to cut short my presentation. Because this thing started with the UNC calling out. Yet over 300,000 members to come on the streets. You cannot, therefore, dismiss the political repercussions. The UNC is not a stupid party. If it's me, I'm not going and officially sanction a national protest. No, I'm not. Let me, all right, let's make this the final one. President, good night, welcome. Yeah.
Lennox,
yeah,
I could shake your hand for saying that how the criminals, reacting with all that gang violence. That's and right, all these things is a form of protest. Lennox, is only we grown people know them things. Lennox.
Yes, man.
Tell them
you feel like a grown man a joke?
Watch me now, Lennox. It's a revolution they're fighting.
That's right. Understand that?
Watchmen are let up. Them is thing I don't talk, but as you say it,
yeah,
I want to shake your hand, boy.
Yes, yes.
I want to shake your hand. And Lennox, we shouldn't be discussing and explaining about protesting. We had to go out there and take it.
No, it's
live or
important that
die.
people understand what are the impediments, what is permissible, where there is a limitation, because you can go so far and no further. But they're talking about the ultimate. We ain't reached the ultimate yet. To have the level of a protest where the police come out and in spite of all of that and they beat up and this and that, people are still there and insisting. We ain't reached that stage yet. That's the point I was going to make later down the road.
Yes, we have to do that.
Yes.
You get blows, you take blows.
All right.
Anytime they arrest you, right, you take your arrest. Who could run? Run. We have to fight. All right, Lennox?
Yes, indeed. So the point I was making, let me say it again, we ain't reached the ultimate yet. We reached the ultimate, like say 1970, for example. We reached there yet. Why? Because the government, apart from controlling the apparatus of coercion, the police, the army, etc., and are prepared to use it, as we have seen with those that we have been engaged in prior. But I spoke about the political implication. You see, you have a government, Rowley and they, if the UNC headed any one of those protests where tear gas was used and people were, of course, charged for breaching the health regulations under COVID, I could see Rowley and them saying that the leader of the opposition is engaged, of course, in an attempt to undermine the government and sedition and all of the other what I consider to be language and jargon that they would use to try to sway for political benefits. Understand that. But let's go to Elijah. Pleasant good night.
Yeah, Lennox, is me again.
Go ahead, my friend.
Lennox, these people who calling for protest, they can't remember when Pandey and Weeks and Joe Solomon and all of them get licked in San Fernando, boy, and get locked up. Was a peaceful demonstration they had there.
Of course it was peaceful.
And it wasn't
the PNM will convert it into a they will stalk, they will promote it, they will tell you don't come here. They push back the barrier in order and if you go in front of the barrier, they shoot 2 batons in the tail and people have to start running and scampering and so on, and then obscenity start to spread, etc., and chaos all over the place, and they like that. That is what we are talking about. But as I say, that has its place, but it didn't reach yet. It is not a 1970 scenario as yet. But go ahead, my friend.
And then in 1970, when Geddes Granger and them march, it was no opposition. It's the people.
That's right.
Decide that they can't take it anymore. And they come out and they
that station reach yet. That station reach yet.
Yeah, and then they say with Joe Young and all of them followers, it's licks and jail. So UNC is not about marching. We decide we ain't going for bullets neither, we're going for the ballot. And right now, UNCs are the strongest as they is with all the distractors. And why people are talking about UNC and the sleeping and this and all kind of, they couldn't know. And them is diehard PNM people talking, you know, it's not UNC people talking. Unless the PNM come and buy out some of them UNC go sell themselves. That is okay, but we have enough. We have enough to win the election. And it's all to the good work of you, Mighty K, Andy Williams, TC, Heavy, Anil Roberts. Look right now, Victor Roberts fall out from the UNC. He holding on to all-man position, Camilla. Any day Camilla can fire he. Any day, and he going on the thing and talking so much ugly things. I feel so bad for him because he was a good fighter.
Yeah, he's a good member of the team, but he became a maverick.
Yeah, he fighting his own self. Because you know what I sorry about him for is his daughter. Now she lost her political career already. Because who she will go and join now? You sit down in UNC, you fight a seat, you lost. You fight a loss. You're saying you want to kill for Kamala. Now you want to kill Kamala. Anybody got respect for you? Nobody will have respect for you. So I want you to continue to do work you're doing. And UNC is strong and proud. And UNC going to win the election without anybody joining with them. You know what is the biggest bonus that UNC have? A lot of African young people are following UNC because they want a better life, according to Mighty K. They don't want to grow up like how their parents grew up, their grandmother grew up living in the ghetto. No food, no education, no nothing. They want to have something. And now these younger people realize that they vote in PNM and they getting nothing. The Prime Minister ain't even going up in Lavantil. He promised them 100 million. They jump for joy and they didn't get it. So that is a good thing he didn't give them because it make them more forceful against him. So all we have to do, the real true UNC people have to hold on, hold strain, stay safe because nobody don't want to go and get no licks on the road from the police. Nobody want to get pepper spray. Nobody want to get locked up. Just stay cool and the time will come. According to Mighty K, it will come. And as soon as it comes, the people ready to make that move. One of the most popular programs is the Ground Report. It's the Corridor of Transformation, and it's TC and Heavy, and it's Anil Roberts. And there's a lot of information going out. So the protesters don't have to come and tell people what to do. The people in Trinidad now is aware of all the things. Now, why Colin him Button go to jail yet? Because the police is PNM. So we have to wait until we come with the government and to lock them up. We can't do it now. Because if we go and make a report, like all they went and drop all them letters, anybody responded? Nobody want to do nothing. Because everybody fighting for the supper. But it must come to an end someday. And right now the UNC is growing. It's getting more stronger by the day. And the people in the UNC is the better people, the most educated people. Because the same thing, look, every time you see a big job going in Trinidad, the PNM hire Indian. And then they're telling you Indian is good. But they put in all the others.
They're poaching them as well, meaning that they're looking for them and paying them to come in. By virtue, of course, by taxpayers means, of course, giving them a job and so on that they could have never get before. Couldn't even enter the entry of the UNC, but they will find, of course, favorable accommodation in the PNM simply because they are prepared to accept anything, including mediocres and of course persons who are totally non-contributory. Yeah, non-contributory. Yeah.
Look, Raul went and hug up and shake the fella hand, the youth officer from UNC, and take out big picture all in the papers.
That show that is theatrics,
no, but
that is
if I was that youth, I was going to, it's 500.
Well, of course. And you can't vex with them, but we must know what the intention is by what is the illusion, what is the superficiality of that exercise. Is nothing genuine. It's part of their shenanigans. It's part of their propaganda, and it's part of trying to be electable to the wider national community. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let me see if I can get out of here.
From Arima, one more thing. The fellow from Arima who win the seat for UNC.
Yes.
And then he jumped from UNC and he go on PNM. He get a house in La Hoquita. You can't vex with him.
Right, that's right. Exactly.
Struggling to pay.
Yeah, so we understand. That goes without saying. That will be. That's a topic for another time. All right.
Right. You have to do like what Tobago do. Take what you get and vote them out.
And vote the tails out. Yes.
Have a good night. Have a good rest too.
Yes, I will. Oh boy, like they want me to go tonight. But let me just conclude. The sagaciousness of the UNC leadership cannot be questioned. Let me repeat. The wiseness, You see, you must know your enemy. If you have to devise strategy in order to overcome them or overwhelm them or beat them. Now let me give you a practical example now to show what I mean by the political outcome. It's all right, you know, you could call and say that you're supporting, of course, a particular protest against the government as the leader of the UNC, and then, of course, even lead the march as well. But if you know you have an enemy that is prepared to use the coercive, should I say, elements or the bureaucratic system of state in order to quell that, because they're looking bad. Do not put it beyond the PNM, and the UNC understands that, I understand that they will create at the moment, at the time of that protest, a situation where they throw tear gas for nothing, like what they did to us around the savannah unnecessarily, charge people, beat up people, etc., and then go and say, and beyond that, they will have witnesses. They will pay witnesses. We saw it, of course, with the Vincent Nelson matter. That is the greatest example. And then, of course, we saw it, of course, when they wanted to attack the THS chief secretary. They pay the fella who ended up being, of course, some kind of whistleblower, on which, of course, it's a good thing that the chief secretary used the House, used the Assembly to make his case. Otherwise, he get locked up, you know, because Rowley was threatening to take him to court, but he couldn't do it because he had similar privilege, just as in the Parliament, of immunity from prosecution for what you say in those fora. Understand that? So they would have concocted something against the leader of the UNC, and no doubt the issue of this sedition, the issue of inciting, all of those would have come to the doorsteps, and they therefore end up in court, criminal court, for the leader or the leadership of the UNC. They know, they understand that if we organize pushback 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we were subjected to that, you can imagine the big fish that the PNM would have seen in the form of Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her ministers and her executive leading a march. You making joke. What world are you living in? And the PNM would have said that, listen, these people are inciting, they are trying to topple the government and all of that. That is what they would have done. Don't matter how peaceful you say, and don't matter how in fact peaceful that march would have been. Understand that? That is what we have purported to be government. They are undemocratic, and they will not allow any kind of protest against them that will make them look weak. And in fact, they believe that they must look strong or appear to be strong by the utilization of institutions of the state that have people in them that are prepared to compromise their integrity and that of the institution in order to protect these vipers. Understand that? I don't think I will have to go through that again, since, of course, I'm sure that those who are insisting that you put boots on the ground and that it should be led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar, etc., and you have not considered that. It doesn't matter if the whole of Trinidad and Tobago come out tomorrow morning, led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. That is what will be the result. Let's not waste time. Don't tell me that I am talking ad hominem, because experience is the best teacher, and you had to be a damn fool to, of course, having experience, of course, one that is not a major. It was only 5,000 people around the Savannah, and then 9,000, and then of course I think a little less than that in San Fernando. And if you hear what a policeman by accident called my phone to find out who is that man who was running around the promenade, Andy Williams took a flag when of course the police said that we cannot go and engage in a pilgrimage, a religious march, because we converted the whole thing into a prayer. And they said, no, stay right there, finish right there, and that is it. But of course, Andy was up and down and around, and then of course they called, they said, who is that fella? I will lock him up now. That is what I heard for myself on the phone. You think Kamala and them don't know that? You really believe that Kamala and them don't know that? That Wawuli and they, vicious as they are, and want to stay in government, will try every and anything to try, of course, to create distractions in order for them to get their way, knowing full well that they have the EBC under their control, and they have other elements of the judicial and the police service under their control, and you want them to take that chance. I say to you, you are not thinking clearly. You are not thinking clearly, my friend. It is up to us as a people, separated apart from the UNC, to engage in those protests. That I agree, and that is what has happened. And they have implicitly, of course, supported us, where, of course, we got tear gas, and they will come out and say that here it is ordinary people, and they have the moral and ethical high ground, no political risk to them, and no opportunity for the PNM to say that Kamala and them engage and support, and of course, somehow was responsible for that. Because they can't say it, and even if they did, the argument is so hollow, it's so irrelevant, it's so osseous, it's so insignificant that nobody would believe them when they see the kind of people that would have been on the ground talking during pushback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course when the trade unions were walking all over the place. You didn't have the UNC there, except of course 1 or 2 sprinklers that were not of significance. From the time the PNM realized that significant players and leadership of the UNC would have been there at the forefront, they will do their best to humiliate them, to embarrass them, and to find a way to take them to court, even though the evidence is nebulous, and even though they will lose the case, but it is sufficient political fodder, sufficient political oxygen to give them in order for them to telegraph, not just in Trinidad, but to the world, because the traditional media will certainly blow up that as if it's a blasted atomic bomb. Understand that? So let us not waste that. However, as they have done, there are alternatives where the PNM, once they lose, has the same impact as if thousands of persons were out on the field. You know what it is for a court to tell the government you have undermined and you have infringed and you have perpetrated a wicked and diabolical, those are my words of course, diabolical and of course action. You have undermined the Constitution. Get the hell back and call the local government election. You know what is that? You know what it is, and they have no choice. Because we cannot guarantee that, even though, as we have seen from the history, that if we go out there in numbers, that the government in place will, of course, call elections. Because that would have been one of the major, or should I say, pregnant objectives. But no, we have seen it. Manning called early election for different reasons. There was no major protest. And the protest with the smelter and so on was even bigger than any one of the pushback movement protests. Not even those protests that former Attorney General Ramesh Maharaj when he walked from Seadressel to Port of Spain, could have beat in terms of numbers, solidarity, and focus than that of pushback 1 and 2 in particular. And that was at a time when, well, it was COVID. What you want the UNC to get involved in that for? Knowing how vicious the PNM is. To stall their conduct and their actions in other areas such as the court. Come on. I hope that we have put this thing to rest in terms of the UNC leading a mass protest. We must organize. We have organized. There have been more protests under Rowley and the PNM over the last 9 years than any other time. Check it out. Protests like peas. And you're telling me that it ain't having impact? Only watch and see. Watch and see. Let me tell you something. In spite of all of that, the only issue is that of independent observers and so on, which of course we're working on, and they're working on EBC. It's not by accident. Tomorrow, of course, I'll give you an idea as to the new Freedom of Information requests that we're making to the EBC and some international organizations. We know the enemy. Why, like lamb to the slaughter, you must give them an opportunity to salvage. They are already on the canvas. And this, of course, what I consider to be boxing match. Where the opposition has already given the PNM a knock-on punch. But they are counting now. 1, 2, 3. Why give them mass project in the way that some people are suggesting? No, it's counterproductive. They're doing their part. We must do our part. And there is no guarantee. And as I said as well, that we have not reached the stage of the level of 1970, where the ultimate. No, we reached there yet. Because if we reach there, it will be spontaneous. There is no need for the UNC to incite anything. A leader will naturally emerge. We have seen, of course, the traditional leaders in terms of protesting and in incumbent government like the trade unions. They have failed and they have lost that status. The trust that was reposed in them to lead us out of the bondage of an administration. We have seen that. But mind you, in 1970, while trade unions were involved, they didn't lead any damn thing. And that was the ultimate. We have not reached the ultimate. And who knows, we may well reach the ultimate before the end of this particular administration term. But in the meantime, the UNC has done fantastic. Have done the job that is expected of them. Put another way, let's assume that PNM have gotten their way to call elections this year instead of last year. No, is last year? Yeah, 23, 24. Well, yeah, they call it August this year, right? So just imagine if they got the way to call the elections. No, 23. Well, whichever time. I'm getting a bit confused now, maybe because of the time and the exhaustion of course, mental energy and focus. But whichever time it is, it would have been a year hence, and the UNC was unsuccessful. You know what fillip that would have put in the PNM to become even more emboldened. You know, if we didn't find out, if the UNC didn't find out about Delcy Rodriguez, what would have happened? Do you think that not finding out about Vincent Nelson, all now, Alan Ramlogan and Ramdeen in jail because remember they passed a law to expedite matters of that nature, criminal nature. They'll be in jail. Imagine if we didn't know about anything about The Thomas guy who was kidnapped from Barbados, Brent Thomas. Understand what is happening here. And there are much more to be exposed. And the UNC is best placed to do so because, as I told somebody recently, the fact that we could get that kind of information through the UNC is because there are people inside of there that are either sympathetic or they dislike what the PNM is doing, and that is why they are exposing it so that you and I could make a judgment call when the time comes, because they must call elections as 2025 inexorably reaches us. Yes, indeed. So people, it's 4 minutes past 11 o'clock. I was just told by way of a note, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow night. And it was wonderful, of course, doing it. We will continue with this. I have not been able to finish, of course, that which I started, which would have been, of course, the issue of the Auditor General. I will do that tomorrow. I'll play the same, and then, of course, play Rowley talking from, of course, Samoa, where, of course, he was trying to justify having, of course, Jindal in his office, and it was a pure case of hogwash, cacophonous babblings, as well as square peg and wrong hole argument. If you could describe it as that, and I think you can't want it more graphic. In other words, he made an ass of himself, the government, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the government itself, as well as, of course, showed us in an ugly light internationally, because that forum that you went to, the Chogam Forum, was, of course, the heads of Commonwealth prime ministers and leaders in Samoa, in the Pacific recently. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and see you, of course. Let me see if I can end with, of course, a Christmas ditty as we started.
Neighbor Mildred, she come over early, say time to have the fete. Please don't say agree.
This pretty little girl from Venezuela, everybody calling her Nikita. Letter to spend the Christmas Venezuela. Get invitation for the Christmas in a Rima, somewhere up in Mount Pleasant. I was among a big family, eating and drinking what I want, dancing, singing, having a good time. Every time my parents play, but Uncle Sam to see me, I in a young lady, pull me by the back door and he say, you feel bright, that they're walking here tonight. Keep it tight, you take, that they're walking here tonight. Walk on, take it light, that they're walking here tonight. Like you're doing that first night, that they're walking here tonight. She's a Martinez, that is your family. This one here is right, that is your family. You see that one day she's Lopez, that is your family. And that one day is Valdez, that is your family. You feel it bright, that they're walking here tonight. So God, take it light, that they're walking here tonight. That they're walking here tonight. that one going so?
That is your family.
And that one sit down right there.
That is your family.
You feel bright?
That ain't walking here tonight.
Come by, take it light.
That ain't walking here tonight. That ain't walking here tonight. That ain't walking here tonight.
I invite you to meet the family. We always meet on Christmas time. Well, boy, you better go easy and take them ideas of your mind. You ain't no cock, you ain't no Rambo. This is what I must explain. You ain't even know your own family. Well, let me point them out again. You feel bright?
That ain't walking here tonight.
Keep it tight, you tight.
That ain't walking here tonight.
Come by, take it light.
That ain't walking here tonight.
Like you're doing